welcome to Big Money Mayhem, the podcast where we talk about true crime and bad behavior in the Midwest.
Each week, we'll bring you true stories from the heartland that might break your heart, but we hope to entertain you along the way.
I'm Janet O'Brien.
I'm Tracey Larecha.
Hello!
Hello, Janet!
How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing okay.
We've got a tippy-tappy dog that can't decide which room she wants to be in. So you might have some nail noises. All of you, misophonia, muddy buddies, we're so sorry. But we are here in the aftermath of Halloween and your birthday.
Yes.
And on the eve of Election Day.
Yes.
So there's a whole lot.
There's a whole lot.
Woof.
So much. I'm a little tired from it. Oh, I did get to see Josh Johnson last night.
Oh, good,
at the Helium Club.
No, he's a comedian?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's a writer, and he does the correspondence on The Daily Show.
Oh, fun.
So
okay.
He's really funny.
Fantastic.
So.
And I think I saw you got to go with your folks.
Yes.
So that's nice.
It was actually my mom's idea. She's like, I've been watching this guy, Josh Johnson. And I'm like,
Aww.
yeah, I am
cute.
too. So we went. It was a lot of fun.
I have been to the Helium a couple of times to go see Gareth Reynolds.
Of course.
Like my favorite comedian.
Right.
Oh, but gosh, we are ready to go with a couple of stories.
Yes.
And we're gonna
I get to start, I guess, right?
I was gonna say we're gonna get through them, and Janet, you go first.
Right. So I do want to say that not this week, and even though we're in the first week of November, next week we're going to start the stories where somebody has given us the idea.
Completely.
Yes.
November is going to be our thankful for our listeners
Right.
month.
Exactly.
I've already got 2 lined up that I really, really want to do. So send us your suggestions to bigmuddymayhem@gmail.com. We are going to do the entire next month of just stuff that y'all have told us about.
Exactly.
And I don't know about you, but I've been getting like texts and emails and stuff with suggestions, and I have a few that are like just kind of in my big muddy spank bank, ready to go.
Sweet. Nice. Sweet. So yeah, this is a story I found. I already knew about it because I watch Unsolved Mysteries, but I already knew about it through some other ways too, and I was like, you know what, I'm doing that one. It's close enough to the Midwest. We're just gonna, because it's in Memphis.
Okay. Oh, Memphis that's fair.
It's drivable from St. Louis.
Fair.
We can do that drive in like 4 or 5 hours?
5 hours, right, exactly. Like you're within a day. Like you leave at breakfast, you're there by lunch.
Right, it's practically in the Midwest. So we're going with that, and that's why I picked the story.
All right.
I don't know if we've done, have we done anything about baby stealing?
Not necessarily. There is a whole like baby train thing that I think is insane, but I won't do it because it's like out of New York.
Yeah,
so it's way
where
out
they
of
used to deliver babies
through the mail.
Yes. No. This is a little different. Okay,
so baby theft.
Baby theft
in Memphis.
Yes. Have you heard the name Georgia Tann?
I think that I have. She is like the big person for this. Yes, I do know a little bit about the story. But it's been a little bit, and I only know it because the Dollop, I think.
Oh, they probably did
something about it like years and years ago.
Wow.
So
okay.
I have been made aware, but I am ready for this story.
Okay. Georgia Tann, she was born as Beulah George Tann in Philadelphia, Mississippi on July 18th, 1891. Her parents were Beulah Isabella and George Clark Tann. So she basically got her first name from her mom. She got her middle name from her dad.
Sure.
They named her Georgia. She had a younger brother. Her mother was a teacher at a time where there was not a lot of, like, women didn't really work.
Right. And if you did have a job, like, that was the one that you could have, right?
Right. Exactly.
You can be a teacher or a governess.
Right.
Which is a teacher that gets paid more money.
Right. And her father was a lawyer. He was also he was Judge George Tann.
Okay.
So he was a judge. The father, he wanted Georgia to become a concert pianist. That's what his goal was for his daughter. And so she started playing piano when she was 5 years old.
Okay.
She was born in Philadelphia, Mississippi, but she grew up in Hickory, Mississippi. Ooh, cat fight. Wow.
Spooky sound effects. Spooky sound effects.
So she grew up in Hickory, Mississippi, and their neighborhood was a popular gathering spot. Like, people would gather in their neighborhood. And sometimes her father would just bring home, like, kids for the day because they were neglected or maybe abandoned, because he really felt like, he had a lot of money. He should try to help
I can
out.
give you, like, at least I can make sure that you've got, like, a nice sandwich. And
Right. And he was like, we need, like, doctors and other people. So that's where the whole thing came into play. We start with that. That is the base of it. Her dad is already helping out kids.
So you're saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Georgia, she ended up graduating from Martha Washington College in Virginia with a degree in music. She did end up taking some courses over 2 summers at Columbia University in New York State. Turns out she didn't like playing the piano.
Oh, no!
She loathed it. She was like, because...
They made me start it when I was 5. I didn't love it then. I do not love it now.
So she really wanted to become a lawyer like her father. But again, it's in the early 1900s.
Oh, my gosh.
She actually took the bar and passed.
Wow, good for her.
But her dad, just strongly disagreed with her becoming a lawyer.
You can't do this. This is too hard for you.
It's not woman's stuff. Even though her mom worked, clearly. So, So she ended up getting a different job as a social worker.
Okay.
Because she already had some courses in it, that was definitely something a woman in the early 1900s.
And look, taking care of children, you can't expect men to do that, so maybe you can do it. Lawyers! Lawyering! No. These big office jobs with the 3 martini lunches. It's not for you. It's not for you.
Anyway, she became a social worker. She worked briefly as a social worker in Texas. She quit. She ended up going to Mississippi for the Children's Home Society. But apparently there was some questionable things going on around the adoptions in Mississippi, and she was terminated in 1924.
You don't say.
I know, right?
Questionable adoption practices in the 1920s in Mississippi.
I know, it's shocking.
Tell me more.
They don't list any of the things in Mississippi. But don't worry. She did plenty in Memphis.
Oh, yikes.
So then she ends up getting a job at the Tennessee Children's Home Society. They have several different branches, and she gets hired as the executive secretary at the Shelby County branch, which is in Memphis.
But bump, can we call her a branch manager?
She used aggressive tactics to eventually take over the organization.
Oh, no.
1924, she started trafficking children.
Oh, dear. Oh.
Per Tennessee state law, they banned selling children, so they could only charge for their service.
That's awfully nice of them.
Now, I didn't figure out the amount. I really should have used the calculator.
You didn't figure out the amount that they weren't selling children for?
So, we're gonna really things start beefing up in 1940, so we're gonna go with 1940
Yikes.
price. So $7.
And it kind of starts, doesn't it? In that, like, if you need farm labor.
Yeah.
Am I wrong here, or?
Oh yeah, no, you're. We'll get there, but yeah, no,
Okay.
it's not great compared to now. Okay, so $7. Okay, here we go.
You're like, look, we'll feed this kid. We
Now-
just need him to do everything.
So right now, they had a thing to where if you lived in the state of Tennessee and you wanted to adopt a child in the state of Tennessee, it only cost you $7, which is still really freaking cheap. That would have been $22.31.
So basically, you are buying
or $41. I mean, well, you're adopting. That's the adoption fee if you live in the state of Tennessee.
Okay, well, you're adopting like a human sea monkey, basically, right?
I think the adoptions. This is the thing. The adoptions clearly in Tennessee, those were normal adoptions. It's the other adoptions that became the problem.
Okay.
So 80% of the adoptions went to the state of New York and the state of California. And then they could charge extra for those. Between 1940 and 1950, she adopted somewhere between 1,200 to 3,000 children to those two states alone.
Sweet Louise.
The adoption fees ranged anywhere between $750 to $5,000.
Oh, gosh.
So let's see here.
And how much of that goes to the care and feeding and
Oh, not much.
children, right? So, and how much of it is just...
So if you adopted a child in 1940 for $750, you're spending about $16,000, which honestly probably isn't horrible, considering all the things. $5,000, however. Let's see.
Yikes.
I should have done this before. That's about $112,000.
This is kind of like... So this is baby brokerage.
Yes, it is. It is. Anyway, so between 1940 and 1950, somewhere between 1,200 and 3,000. The adoptions went between 750, 3,000. Two people that worked for her, about once every 3 weeks, they would fly with a few babies on the plane. They would go rent a hotel room, meet the prospective adopters, and they were normally very wealthy people. Mm-hmm. And they would, they would hand them a check for $750, but sometimes she'd have add-ons like, well, there's the airplane ride, and then there's this other, and she'd come up with a lot of fees.
And I had to have this and
the hotel room and all that, right? She basically pocketed about 80-90% of what she got. Isn't that crazy?
Interesting. Yeah.
Applications, there were some famous people who adopted from her, like Joan Crawford.
Oh, right.
She adopted
Christina
Kathy
and Christopher.
No, Kathy and Cynthia.
Oh,
the twins.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
She adopted the other two kids were adopted through a different agency, but she adopted the twins through her. They didn't. They were just like, okay, this is great. Ways that she could get children. The thing that I was watching on the Unsolved Mysteries was that there was a lady, and she was a small child. A lot of times, like if you were poor back then, you would say, okay, I'm going to put you in an orphanage, but I'm going to come back in like a month or two while I'm unemployed or whatever. And it was like always a temporary hold. Well, while the child was at this orphanage, this lady pulls up in a car and calls her over, and it is this Georgia lady.
Oh my gosh.
She straight up abducts a child off the grounds of an orphanage.
Wow.
Takes the child and has like 3 or 4 more, and meets up with her lawyer buddy. The lawyer buddy, this judge by the name of Camille Kelly, who was probably also in cahoots, got paid off.
I have heard of this. Yes.
Yeah, and then she would say, okay, they will be. You're gonna end up going on a long journey. You have a new house, new home or whatever.
Everything's going to be great.
So this lady's like, okay, I was like 4 or 5. I remember this lady calling me over to the car, and the next thing I know, like, I'm being flown somewhere. And she's like, it was a very nice family, but they ended up like passing away like later on. And and it was mostly rich people who adopted these children. Some children, unfortunately, ended up on farms where they ended up working.
Where it's like, all right, well, we just need some, like, we need labor.
Right. And so she ended up finding her real mother. After the whole thing. She's like, her mom was like, she's like, I didn't even know my child was abducted until like later in the day, or they called like the next day and go, by the way, someone took your kid.
Oh my god.
What do you mean somebody took my kid? So they 31 years later, she found her mother. Anyway, ways that she would get children. She would do pressure tactics, threats of legal action, coerce birth parents, normally poor single mothers, to turn over custody under false pretenses. Children born to inmates at the mental institution, she would grab them. At one point, she started just straight up kidnapping, which was that example that I just gave you.
She lied too. Like, there were a whole lot of times where she was like, "Oh yeah, your baby died."
Right. Oh yeah, she totally did that. At one point, she would take children born to unwed mothers claiming they needed medical attention, and then she would say, oh, they died when she actually adopted them off. She would some children temporarily placed in orphanages, in an orphanage, and a welfare agent would come and take the children. They would get adopted out. She destroyed records of children processed through the Children's Society. Stories were made up completely about the children who were being adopted. If the adopted parents discovered the info was incorrect, she would threaten them with legal actions.
Oh my goodness.
With that lady behind her, Judge Camille Kelly of the Shelby County Family Court. She would use her position of power to help Georgia out. They would bypass the Shelby probate court this way.
Oh my gosh.
And most of them were handled in different counties, so they didn't notice. Also, the mayor of Memphis at that time, E.H. Boss Crump, was known for taking bribes. So clearly Georgia was probably paying this mayor off. Children were obviously mistreated under Georgia's care. There was neglect. There was physical and sexual abuse. And some of the children were murdered.
Oh my gosh.
Like, what? Children were placed in public facilities and foster homes. They estimated probably somewhere between, I think it was like 19, possibly, I know there's at least 19 deaths on the property. But they say that there's a possibility it might be a lot more than that. They would, basically, black market adoptions at this time were not illegal. It was just highly immoral. Finally, September 11th, 1950, Tennessee Governor Gordon Browning, he launches an investigation into the children being sold for profit. The story was published 2 days later. The Tennessee's Children Home Society was closed like that year. Because once the governor was like, what's going on? And they start, talking about it, investigating it, they close it immediately. When they finally come around, like, they ended up settling for some of the cases, but they were, basically, he was going to go after the home that she owned and everything. She died 3 days before...
Oh my.
Before the governor could file charges against her, like,
oh my gosh,
a few years later. So, yeah. I mean, it's not a real long story. There's a lot that's happened. It's just...
There is a lot, and like I said, if you want to do a deep dive, the Dollop did do an episode on, like, I think they called it the New York Orphan Train, where they talk about all of this and how just, like, man...
Yeah. But yeah,
they basically just take people that can't afford to feed their kids.
Yeah.
And send them to places where their kids can be.
Right. It's just so wacky. It's like she made so much money.
Oh, completely.
And was just like taking kids from people who couldn't say anything, couldn't get them back. There was no, because they're poor.
Right.
Basically, their child was stolen from them. Mm-hmm. It's just insane.
No, it's terrible.
So that's my story.
Yikes.
It's not a super long one because it's just clearly obvious what's happening. But it's like the fact that it went on for 10 years straight is crazy. So, I don't know.
Well, Janet, I have a story for you.
Ooh.
And this is part 2
Yes.
of a story that we began a couple of weeks ago. And we are talking about the Lemp family. So, when we left off, we were with Billy Lemp.
Right.
Who was kind of the second, the grandkid of the Lemp family.
Right.
Mansion owner. But then William the First was the one that kind of made everything work out.
Gotcha.
He's the one that built the caves. He's the one that did the refrigeration. Sorry, goodness, hiccups. And his son, Billy, was not who he wanted to run things.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, like, he really wanted Frederick.
Right.
But Frederick died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
So we had Billy.
Right.
And Billy was the Nepo baby.
Ah.
And Billy was the one that married Lillian Lemp, the lavender lady.
Yes.
And they were like the Gatsby couple that just kind of like managed everything and spent all the money but didn't do well.
Oh.
So we are right on the cusp of prohibition.
Okay.
Oh goodness, sorry. So they divorce in a highly public trial. Lillian gets custody of the kid.
Right.
Billy moves out into his own place called Allswell. And allegedly, Billy's love child, Zeke, is living back at the fuck shack in Manhattan. Like, he's back at the family. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I keep hiccuping. Historians go back and forth on Zeke, if he existed at all.
Gotcha.
Or if he did he not? Descendants today will deny it, but some of the domestics that worked in the house said, oh yeah.
There's a child here.
Absolutely knew him. He is said to be a kid with Downs.
Oh, okay.
Which is why they
shut
him away.
Uh-huh.
Along with the fact that his mom was a sex worker.
Right.
Like, this wasn't Lillian's kid.
No.
And this was Billy, like, down in the caves.
Yeah.
So it's Epstein Island. He is... Oh, I'm only going to say this once.
Okay.
And then we aren't going to go back to it because it's fucking awful.
Okay.
They refer to him as the monkey-faced boy.
Oh my God.
So we won't talk about that again. The marriage isn't all that's crumbling, though. Billy, man, the brewery is not doing well.
Right.
After World War I, Billy's bad management is also a factor. He's just not the person that his father was. You remember how his dad put in all of the refrigeration. Good gracious! Sorry about the hiccups. father put in like all of the refrigeration and did all of the things and like, oh my gosh, we're gonna, just focus on German engineering in brewing and making things that are like lagers and all of that.
Right.
Well, he's not that guy.
He's not that
Billy.
guy.
He really isn't. And his sister Elsa isn't doing anything better.
Oh, okay.
Her story is kind of the most interesting to me. She is the baby of the family. She's a suffragette.
Oh, okay, cool.
She is kind of pretty. And hold on, I'm going to find her photo. Good gracious.
Oh, yeah, no, she's very nice.
She's not the beauty that Lillian was.
Right.
Like she's not super Gibson girl. But she's married off to a very rich and a very eligible bachelor, Thomas Wright, in 1910. They go on a honeymoon for a year.
Wow. Can I go on a honeymoon for a year?
Hi. So she goes off and like, all right, well, we'll just go see the world.
Okay.
For 12 months. By 1919, though, the marriage is in shambles. And she has a stillbirth. And she also has claims of infidelity. And so the couple divorces.
Gotcha.
So, all right, they haven't been together for very long. And,
Right.
like, now she's doing this. Elsa moves back to the mansion for a little while.
Okay.
The next year,
Yeah.
they reconcile.
Oh, okay.
And they remarry. Show me y'all have money without telling me y'all have money. Like, nobody does that. Like, nobody has two weddings kind of money, but they do.
They do.
So they do. They remarry, and Elsa moves back into the home that they have, which is on Horton's Place in the West End.
Okay.
12 days after they remarry, Janet.
Tracey.
Janet.
Tracey.
February 1920, Elsa is back with her man. She is the wealthiest woman in all of St. Louis. And this is the true crime bingo.
Oh. Okay.
She shoots her...
What?
She shoots herself in the heart.
No, she doesn't.
Her husband is in the next room. She is the wealthiest person in St. Louis. And he's the guy that just got back with her. They call her family. The lawyers are called first.
Not the police.
What? Lawyers are called 2 hours before the cops come.
Oh my God.
And, to the richest family possible. There's no blood at the crime scene. The body is embalmed in situ. Like, they don't even move her.
Oh, wow.
They do the embalming.
Right there.
Oh,
that's great.
I know, I'm just so great. The husband, it's just like, oh, do it now. And, like, she's done in situ and she is moved to the mortuary. He wasn't in the will. But somehow, he ends up being, like, the beneficiary.
Okay. Yeah.
So, you remarry your wife, that you divorced.
Right.
And 12 days later...
She shoots herself.
She shoots herself. And you get all of it.
Oh, my God.
And when they talk about it to Billy... Which, man, there's a whole lot of reasons that... And this guy was like a piece of shit. But this one... They call and they're like, oh, yeah, your sister... dead... probably murdered. And he says, well, that's the Lemp family for you.
Oh my God.
So there is a documentary that is called Lemp's Last Right.
Oh.
WRIGHT. Because that is the guy that she had married.
Oh, okay.
And it's about her story. I want to know a little bit more about that.
Her, right.
But there's more than one shit show in this family. So we're going to get back to Billy.
Okay.
By the time that Prohibition hits, the Lemp Brewery is weakened. They're trying to do something that it's like an alcohol-free version of Falstaff.
Right.
I'm so sorry. My gosh. But Billy has done nothing to innovate like his dad did. So, can you imagine, Janet?
Yes.
I need you to just stop and think about a family business. Where the father is really successful.
Yeah.
And then a son shows up and he's a brat. And he has no original ideas of his own.
Yeah.
And he just, no gumption. And he just starts like shooting out at people. What would that even look like?
I don't know.
What would that look like? Please vote. Please vote. So by 1922, we're behind the Volstead Act. The Lemp Brewery is shut down. And they try the Falstaff NA. There's no dice. Employees show up one day and... again, what is this like? What happens when you show up at your job? And they're like, oh, we're closed.
Yeah.
Forever.
Forever? Yeah.
What's that even like?
Right.
So Billy has lost everything that has made him Billy.
Sure.
So in 1922... Billy sells off the brewery. It's It's a drain at this point.
Absolutely.
It is such a huge piece of property. It is 10 blocks wide. So it's parceled out a little bit. Good gracious, I'm sorry. Pardon me, listeners. The brewery concern goes to the Greasy Dick Brewery.
Right.
And the buildings themselves mostly go to the International Shoe Company.
Yeah.
Which is now the building that houses the City Museum.
Exactly.
The Lemps get about $590,000 back on their $7 million investment.
Oh my God.
So it's...
No, it's not good.
No, not even half. In 1922, on December 19th, Billy shoots himself in his office.
Wow.
He's 55, and it's the same office where his father died.
Oh my God.
So this is kind of the end of the long, legacy of the brewery, but we can still talk about the rest of the family. And this is where I have a photo for you.
Okay.
He's not great like, we're going to look at Charles Lemp.
Yeah. I don't know what year that's from, but he's got...
He looks troubled.
Balding. Yeah, he looks like he's...
This is like the 40s.
Yeah, he doesn't look super happy.
He is just sort of like and like in...
The stern look.
Charles moves into the house. Good gracious, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Hiccups. Charles never really had anything to do with business, but he moves into the mansion.
Okay.
He's a banker, and that's what he's done. He's also a recluse.
Oh, okay.
And so he's kind of always been very private.
Right.
But he's always had a dog.
Okay.
He has a Doberman.
Oh, okay.
And, like, that's his buddy. Mm-hmm. So when he moves in with the Doberman. He's mostly alone in the mansion. He is distrustful of people. He has a little bit of OCD.
Oh.
He wears gloves all the time, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
He's giving a little bit of like Howard Hughes.
Okay.
Also, around this time, remember Zeke?
Yes.
Yeah, Zeke is said to have passed in the house.
Oh, okay.
And again, if this kid existed at all, he had been kept in the attic. His biological father has like moved out. Billy is way done and gone. And Lillian is not his mom.
Right.
And has also moved out. And so you're just like there with crazy Uncle Charles. Zeke is said to have died around this time as well.
Oh, okay.
And some sources say that he's buried with a tombstone that just says Lemp.
Oh, okay.
But Bellefontaine Cemetery denies that.
Oh, okay.
So again, we don't know if this kid was ever there or not.
Right, exactly.
But like if he was, then he was home with crazy Uncle Charles.
Right.
Who was like there with his dog dealing with all of it. So we're going to get back to Charles. 8 years after moving into the mansion, Charles becomes the final Lemp to take their own life.
Oh my God.
In May of 1949, Charles writes a note and he goes to the basement and he shoots his dog.
Oh my God.
Then he goes up the stairs and he shoots himself. Like in the same office. But this is, oh my God, Janet, this is the saddest part of this entire story.
Okay.
For me. The dog is found halfway up the stairs.
No, that's really sad.
He shot the dog and the dog tried to follow him. Papa, are you okay?
Oh.
Jesus.
That's awful.
Oh, we don't deserve them.
No.
So he does leave, though, the only Lemp suicide note. He leaves a very clear note and he says, "In case I am found dead, blame it on no one but me." He is the only person in the Lemp family of all these suicides to be like, hey, it's not a curse. Nobody did me dirty.
Right.
This was my choice. Yikes.
Yeah.
So, that is the last Lemp suicide. Goodness, I'm so sorry.
You're
about
okay.
But Edwin, who is the youngest kid,
Uh-huh.
he will become the last of the family to die.
Okay.
And his final wishes will obscure a lot about the family history. Edwin, he leaves, again, a very clear note and is just like, yep, when I die, I want everything burned.
What?
And remember how they had all of the paintings and the art gallery? All of that, gone. All of the letters, gone. Any kind of family artifacts,
Why?
jewelry, etc. Because he thought his family was cursed.
Oh, okay.
And he didn't want it to carry on.
Right, I gotcha.
So, man, the entire collection is burned upon his death. His butler is like the one that's like, yep, I'll do it, boss. And sees to it. So there is so much that we might know if it weren't for that.
Wow.
The mansion starts to fall into disrepair because there's no more...
Right, there's no more Lemps.
Memories of the family. And it turns into a boarding house.
Right.
In the late 40s, early 50s. And it might have just become another derelict mansion that goes into nothing. But every story has a hero. And Janet.
Tracey.
We have a hero.
Who's the hero?
It's 1975.
Okay.
And his name, take a deep breath. Dick Pointer.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm not even joking. Oh, Ryder was so mad at me about the fact that when I did our live show, I neglected to mention that the Burger Chef murders, the primary investigator was a guy named Stoney Van. And that's a failing on my part. I should have, but yes. But I'm not going to let you miss out on Dick Pointer. 1975, Dick Pointer.
Yes.
Enter him. They restored the mansion and they turn it into a lodge and a restaurant.
Right.
Which is still
in
operation to this day. There are reports of ghosts.
Yes.
You know me. I'm not like a big ghosty person, so I'm just going to tell you kind of the highlights.
Sure.
There is a child in the attic that they think might be Zeke that has been recorded as saying, "Play with me."
Ah.
There's a ghost dog that tippy taps up the stairs.
Aww.
And I want to give it all the treats and just like give him pets and belly rubs. Like, oh, that's sweet, sweet. I don't even like Dobermans per se, but I would still, I want to snug that dog. Can I pet that dog? There is a sense of despair in the room that was the office, where William Sr. and William Jr. both ended their lives. And also, William Jr. ran up the steps when he heard the shot. When his father died. So on the stairs you can hear the sound of people running up the steps.
Oh, gotcha.
And opening the door. And there is also, this is my favorite. All right, remember in part one I talked about how William Sr. brought this weird marble shower?
Yes.
Well, it's in the basement.
Okay.
And that's where Billy's office or private place was. And ladies that have to take a pee in the marble bathroom stall, feel people looking over.
Oh, no.
No.
Right.
So, that was way too many hiccups. But it is the story of the second half of the Lemp family.
Yay.
And I just, oh gosh, this one is a big, it's a big one.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was one that I was like tempted to take on, but also like, woof.
Yeah.
It's a
but I'm
whole
glad
lot.
you did. That's a really good one. It's super good. So I think this is where we take a break.
We do take a break, and then we will be back and talk about what's nice.
We'll be back for What's Nice. If you enjoy getting muddy with us, here are some ways you can help support the podcast. Like and subscribe to the podcast on the platform where you're listening. And of course, a good review will help us reach new listeners. If you listen on YouTube, please leave a comment in the comments section. Also, if you have any suggestions, this is the month of November. Please send those suggestions to bigmuddymayhem@gmail.com. Join our Facebook group where we can discuss the episodes and hear your suggestions. And of course, tell your friends, your families, your neighbors, that person you're going to be standing in line with tomorrow when you go vote.
And go vote.
Go vote. And now, let's return to What's Nice. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
And now it's time for What's Nice.
It's time to talk about what's nice.
So I think I go first for mine.
I think you do, yeah.
Well, I mean, we're in Memphis, so you get like two choices. What do you think I'm picking?
Fried chicken or music?
A little bit more B.
Okay.
Ish. My What's Nice is, of course, Graceland.
You've
never been?
For years.
Okay.
I have gone twice. Once as a child, and then once as an adult. Which is about the way to do Graceland.
Right, yeah. I've been twice. But I was a young adult, and then I went again about 5 years later.
You've probably seen me in, so when I went as a kid, my mom got one of those, like, baseball t-shirts.
Oh, yeah.
And you've seen me wear that.
You still have it? Nice.
I do, yeah. I have a picture of me as a kid, like, when it was knee length. And I was, like, roller skating down the hallway in it.
Yeah, last time I went, I got the TBC.
Oh,
t-shirt.
It's still hanging in my closet,
nice.
too.
Awesome.
I love Graceland.
So, anyway. Yes.
Also, real quick, funny story. Last time that I went to Graceland, we were on the tour. I was with a friend and turned around, and the people on the tour were with us were the members of Tool and also King Bozo from the Melvins. And I wouldn't have known that.
But that's really
But
cool.
my friend did, and so...
Well, they're in Memphis. They're musicians. They gotta go see Graceland.
Right. So...
Duh!
So I've been to Memphis with Tool. I'm just saying.
That is a really good story. I can't even beat that. That is a great story.
But tell me about Memphis, though.
Graceland. So, as you already know, that originally the house was built for doctors. It was a doctor who owned this house. And then, I'm not quite sure the year because I didn't pull that up.
It's okay.
But it's okay. Anyway, so Elvis, he starts to become really popular. And he's like, he's rich. And he's like young. And he's like,
right.
I'm going to buy a house. And there's this doctor's house. It's in a nice area at the time in Memphis.
You want to raise a family.
Right. So he bought that house. And he lived there and unfortunately died there.
Right there in the toilet.
Right. So...
Every time it's hard for me to squeeze out a poop, I'm just like, please don't let me. Please don't. Janet, if I die like Elvis, you have to cover it up. You're like, she was murdered.
So, he lived there. There's, I think, 2 or 3 people buried on the property. You can see where the graves are.
His mother, I think, is there, and his brother.
Yes. So they're there right on the property when you go into the house itself. So if you haven't been to Graceland before, which you have, but to our listeners, basically it's on 2 sides of the street. So there's this big middle section, and in the middle section you have where you have the airplane, you have the museum,
his cars.
The cars are there. You have the gift shop and everything.
Right.
And then you end up getting across over to where the actual house is itself. And you're thinking, well, it's going to be a huge house. Turns out it's not.
It really isn't.
No, it's not. They've basically left it the way it was. I mean, it had been his wife, Priscilla, she loved to decorate. Mm-hmm. And so there's still things from the old versions of the rooms because she would redecorate. And so it's wall-to-wall freaking carpeting.
And she lived there for a while, too. Like, even after he passed.
Right. Like the jungle room.
Uh-huh.
It's all...
And the TV room and all of that. Like
it has a sunken living room. It's just so crazy. The only part you can't see, and they tell you this on the tour,
upstairs.
No, you can't go upstairs. No, do not ask us about the bathroom.
No, I mean...
Yeah, you just don't.
If I died on the shitter, I would not want anyone going to visit the shitter where I died.
No.
So I'm fine with that.
And you basically get headphones, and they tell you about the whole house through the whole thing. But
no, Graceland is amazing. And if you haven't gone, I think you should go.
Definitely go to Graceland.
And
Memphis is a great place to visit.
It really is fun. Like, you can go into.
There's a little area where, you feel almost like you're in New Orleans, but you're not. And it's just a great place to have barbecue and have a good time.
Nice.
So that's my what's nice for Memphis.
Janet, I also have a story of a place with food that might kill you. And I am going to talk about the Lemp Mansion restaurant because, all right, I told you that my what's nice was something that we actually have to do.
Yes.
We do need to do this.
Okay.
They have Sunday dinner at the Lemp Mansion, and it is family style.
Nice.
So if you think your family is crappy, just get ready for the holidays. If you think that your family is toxic, you could still go to this one where, everybody dies here. And it is a little bit pricey. It's $27.
That's not bad.
But it is all you care to eat.
Oh, wow.
Chicken, ham, roast beef, all of the sides. Chicken, ham, roast beef, mashed potatoes, gravy, mac and cheese, beans, green beans, corn, stewed apples, marinated vegetable salad, coleslaw, and buttermilk biscuits. And you can eat in the room of the cursed Lemp family. And just pig out on
that sounds amazing.
Everything. And like I said, I know that is very, very short, but I've been to the Lemp Mansion for a ghost tour.
Oh, yeah, I've done the outside part, not the actual
But
inside.
I haven't ever been for a breakfast, and I'm like, all right, so
yeah,
everybody jump into the Patreon. Buy Janet and I some chicken dinners. Because we want to go and eat that stuff. And we'll talk back about it. We will. Like, I'm going to tell you everything. If the biscuits are bad, you're going to hear about it.
Right, yeah.
If the chicken is really good, you're going to hear about it.
I've been to I've eaten food there once, but it wasn't actually in the mansion itself. It's that building that's in front for a bridal shower.
Okay.
My cousin Tracy's bridal shower. That was a very long time ago.
Excuse me, you know another Tracy.
I do.
Rude.
She's like 6 months older than me. I've known her my entire life.
But who's your favorite Tracy? It's okay, you can say your cousin.
I love both of you.
But I'm the cutest one.
So I think this is where we come to an end.
I guess so.
I guess so. Yeah, no one's on edge here. No problems. It's a great day.
Please, you guys,
Go
you probably won't
vote.
hear this until after Election Day, but please vote. Please vote.
Yeah, even if it's raining tomorrow, bring your Brock umbrella, bring a rain jacket. Go stand in line. I did my voting about a week ago. I'm just I'm getting
I was going to say, Ryder and I already voted because normally I would vote just wherever I'm, serving.
Right.
But, man, it's going to be busy tomorrow.
Yes.
So I got it out of the way. Boy, tomorrow is going to be stressful. We love you.
Right.
Please take some time for yourself.
Yes.
Have a cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
Man, just know that it's going to be stressful. Know that we are not going to know anything tomorrow night.
No, we're not. No,
So
go find a bar, have a fried bologna sandwich after you vote. And
something like that. And
yes.
but vote. Vote. I think that's our major thing. And then also, when you're voting, there is one other thing that we need to remind everybody about.
When you're standing in line.
Please stay Midwest nice.
Stay Midwest nice.